there are really moments, okay, important moments where I need to share my insights. Should you genuinely be apologizing for your insights or your ideas? Because most of the time, it's really not necessary. So I need you to reserve your sorry, your apologies for genuine missteps. It is not kind to give vague messages to your team. It is not kind to make your team keep on guessing what you really meant to say. Have you ever walked out of a meeting feeling invisible? You had a brilliant idea, you knew it could work, but when you shared it, it landed with a thud. Silence, no response. And then, 5 minutes later, someone else says the same exact thing, and everybody started nodding and saying it was a real game changer. And then you left that meeting wondering what went wrong. Now, what if I told you that your idea was never the problem? The problem was how you delivered it. You were already subconsciously giving permission to everybody to ignore you even before you finished talking. Now, I remember early in my career, I was invited to a meeting with all of our big bosses in the company. Actually, in corporate, you can consider that as a golden ticket because it's not always and every day, and anybody is invited to attend to a meeting with the big boss. And so, stepping into that meeting, I was really excited, but at the same time, afraid and terrified because maybe I will say something that's not very important or I will do something stupid. And so I just told myself in this meeting, I will just listen, observe everybody, learn, and say nothing just to avoid any mistakes. And then halfway through the meeting, one of the boss talked to me, like he faced me and then talked to me and then said, well, love, since you are a trainer, what do you think can we do about XYZ? And I did not expect that he will be asking me that question. I thought I will just be like a passive observer in the meeting. And so when he asked me that question, my mind went blank. And I actually didn't know what to say until I started saying something like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm not quite sure, but maybe this could work. Like, I think because in my experience, perhaps we could try XYZ. I'm really sorry, I'm not sure. That's it. That's what I did. Okay. And then that boss, he looked at me, he nodded. I think he was just trying to be polite. And then he moved on to the next agenda. And then I realized after that meeting, I was really thinking about that experience because I know that I was given a very huge opportunity to sit with the big people in the organization. And then they asked for my opinion or my insights. And that's what I did. And so I realized eventually that actually I was subconsciously making myself invisible. And then it was just like after the meeting that I realized I was invited in that meeting because I have a unique experience with the role that I was in that time, a trainer, and that they knew that I could potentially offer good insights that will help them in their decision making. And so I realized that what I did when they asked me that question was really something that is not good, and it was jeopardizing my position and my role in the organization. So I thought that that communication habit is not just a bad habit, but really it's something that I need to correct because if not, then I will not be able to reach my potential in the organization. The good thing is, I learned from that experience and I really did everything in my power to improve my communication. And that led me to my role right now as a division head. And so, allow me to share with you what that mistake is. The mistake that most people actually do is being apologetic in their language and using qualifying language as well. So, apologetic means that you feel that you do not have the opportunity or the right even to share your opinions and you lack the conviction. And so what you do is you always apologize. You say, I'm sorry, but I think this may be not a good idea, but like, okay, let me just share this with you. Or you use qualifying language. Qualifying language like this may be a silly idea. Like I'm not an expert, but this is what I think. Okay? Those kinds of languages actually hinders your potential, or even like it shows that you may not be ready or you are not confident about the ideas that you're about to share. Now, I want you to remember this. When somebody asks for your opinion or somebody asks for your insights, then that is because they trust and believe that your unique experience will allow them to have more information, and that information will be used for them to make better decisions. I'm not sure why people do this, but I noticed, let's say in meetings, when you ask someone for an insight or an idea, they really feel very, very shy. Well, I know, I understand it can be because of a lot of factors. One is psychological safety. Maybe you don't feel safe taking risks or sharing your opinions in that meeting. But one thing I also learned over time is that there are really moments, okay, important moments where I need to share my insights. Because if not, then I will basically not be in service of the team because I take the opportunity or the possibility for the team to solve a problem just because I held back and I did not share my insights or my professional opinion about the matter. And so, really, when somebody again reaches out to you and asks for your insights, that's because they trust in your unique experience. And so, we have to put value and importance on that trust and belief that people have given us. And so, the best thing that you could do is to avoid being apologetic and avoid using qualifying language. So, what I do now is I follow a three-step framework I call the A.C.T framework or ACT framework: assess, command, and transmit. So, first, let's assess. You have to pause for a moment and really think, is this something that you should be sorry for? Like, are you genuinely, should you genuinely be apologizing for your insights or your ideas? Because most of the time, it's really not necessary. So I need you to reserve your sorry, your apologies for genuine missteps. It doesn't matter how you actually present the idea, but you just really have to remember to present it with conviction. And so assess the situation and really think about it. Is being sorry, or does being sorry necessary in that situation? Because if not, then you don't have to say it. One example I could share with you is that there are times that I will join a meeting late. Not because I want to, okay? Just to make this perfectly clear, I do not like being late. Although before working in the Japanese company that I'm in right now, I was always late. But in Japan, punctuality is really very, very important. And so I was able to train myself to be on time. But my point is, there are really times that I will join a meeting late because the other meeting ended late. So it like created a domino effect. So what I do is, instead of saying sorry or like I'm sorry for being late, instead of telling that to the people in the meeting or the attendees in the meeting, I tell them thank you for waiting for me. Okay? Because really, number one, it's not my fault that the other meeting ended late. Okay? And number two, when I say I'm sorry, sometimes it does not feel very true or genuine because, a lot of people just say sorry for the sake of saying sorry. That's it. And so, what I want to show is my genuine appreciation for the attendees for waiting for me. Or if they've already started, then I would just say, well, thank you so much for starting on time without me. I really appreciate it. Because I think that speaks volume than just saying sorry for the sake of saying sorry. So, again, going back, you assess. Do you really have to say sorry? Is it really something that, or is it just something that you cannot avoid? And that you don't really have to be sorry about it. Okay? Reserve your sorry or your apology for genuine missteps. Now, the second is command. This is about taking command in your language by swapping any weak passive phrases for strong direct ones. And this is very tactical. You can immediately apply this in your next email or conversation. So instead of saying, "Well, I'm so sorry to bother you," why not just say, "Well, is this a good time to talk to you?" Or instead of saying, "This may be a silly idea," just immediately say, "Well, I have an idea or I recommend that we do XYZ." Or instead of saying, "Well, I'm not an expert, but maybe we could try." So you could say, "From my perspective and my professional opinion, we could try this." And of course, instead of saying, "Well, well, I'm not quite sure, but like maybe we could give it a try," just be direct. Okay? Just say, "This is what I think," or "This is my idea, this is my recommendation, XYZ, and let's try that." That's it. That's really it. Taking command in your language. Avoid apologetic phrases, avoid qualifying language, and just focus on direct, strong phrases and just immediately say what you want to say. Because that will give you, number one, of course, the confidence in what you're about to say. And at the same time, it makes other people think that you have conviction and you mean what you say. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but if you really keep on using weak phrases or passive phrases, it weakens your communication and it weakens the message that you're trying to say compared to being direct and using strong phrases and certain phrases as well. Then that's when you can really see and show that you mean what you say. So remember to command. And the third is transmit. Transmit your message with conviction. And this actually goes beyond words. You have to remember your pace, your tone, and your posture. First is your pace. Stop rushing. When you feel insecure, if when you feel not very confident, we tend to rush. Okay? And rushing again makes you look like you are not sure about what you are saying. And so, what you can do is to try a measured pacing. Take pauses from time to time or slow down a little if you feel really nervous. And I tell you, this has really helped me a lot because I was someone who really talks fast. Because okay, to be transparent, there were days early in my career when I really felt that I should speak fast because I did not want to waste other people's time. But really, it did not serve me well because it only made me look like I am someone who does not know what she is doing. Okay? So from there, I started doing measured pacing and at the same time using pauses strategically. Because by doing so, I am able to convey my message, and make sure that it truly lands and the receiver receives it with clarity. And they can sense that I really meant what I said because there are pauses in between. And at the same time, I did not rush my speaking. So, pace is very important. Now, the next one is your tone. Transmitting your message using your tone is also very important. Now, I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but most confident and successful people and leaders and communicators, you will not really hear them using an inward tone. Like when they say something, their tone is really downwards. Okay, for example, they say, "Well, I believe that this will work." If you do that, it sounds like you are not sure or you are not certain about your thoughts compared to, "I believe that will work." You see the difference? When you use a downward tone, then it actually makes you appear more confident and certain. And at the same time, it will be easier for people to believe what you have to say because you're not asking a question. You are giving a declarative sentence. And it means you are sure about what you said. And then lastly is your posture. Okay, posture, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important. Whether you are doing an online meeting or not, or like you're doing a face to face meeting, you have to be very conscious about how you sit, how you present yourself. So you have to sit straight, and then at the same time avoid slouching or like looking lazy, because that defeats the message, or like the message that you're trying to convey. Because if people see you slouching or like, not doing a proper posture, then it gives them the impression that you're not comfortable and you're trying to avoid something, or like you really are not confident. And so posture gives a lot of advantages, especially when you talk to someone. Again, whether that is an online meeting or a face to face meeting, posture is very important. In my case, I always make sure that number one, I sit straight. Number two, my team can see my gestures, especially in online meetings. And number three, also, I am very, very much conscious about my expressions. Part of the posture, like the overall package, is also your expressions. Okay, try not to look too stiff, and at the same time try not to look too serious as well. It really depends on the kind of meeting that you're in, but most of the time just be relaxed, okay, and just focus on conveying or sharing your message with your team. So there you have it, the ACT framework. And I want you to remember to assess the situation, to command your language, and to transmit your message beyond words. Now, what most people get wrong when trying to apply this is that they think that directness equals rudeness. And I'm not sure why, but this is most especially true to women, especially that for women, we are expected to be kind, we are expected to be gentle, we are expected to be nice in our conversation. But really, when people then see us being more direct, then they would think that we are being rude. And I know that can be very, very difficult. But I want you to remember this, and I want to challenge you to reframe your thinking. Okay? Clear communication is kind communication. In the words of Brene Brown, clear is kind and clear is unkind. It is not kind to give vague messages to your team. It is not kind to make your team keep on guessing what you really meant to say. It is not kind to use ambiguous language. It is not kind to not present your idea that could potentially solve a problem in a confident way and with conviction. So I want you to remember, if you want to be truly kind, then you have to be very clear with your communication. And so, what you can do perhaps in the next 48 hours, you can observe your language. Try to list, it can be using your notebook or your phone, list the moments that you said sorry, that you were apologetic, or you use qualifying language. Okay? You don't need to judge yourself, just notice and list them down. And then after, you then identify, like when you said those words or use that language in that moment, did you really mean it? Were you really sorry? Was it really necessary? Because the very first step for you to appear and to be confident in communication is to start with awareness. Awareness is the very first step. And then from there, you can follow the ACT framework. So let us bring it all together. The small words we use have a massive impact on our perceived authority. By defaulting to apologetic and qualifying language, we are silently telling the world not to take us seriously. So the main takeaway here is that trading apologetic and qualifying language to a more direct approach is not actually about changing who you are. It is giving your idea the respect it needs and it deserves the moment it leaves your mouth. So there you have it, everyone. I hope that you learned something. And if this resonated with you, make sure to follow the Love Ravina podcast for more lessons and conversations on leadership, public speaking, and growth. Until next time, let's keep showing up, speaking up, and leading boldly.